The United States is the world's largest economy, a global military superpower, and the country behind some of the most valuable companies on earth. The dollar is used all around the world, and US government bonds are considered some of the safest investments available. And yet, somehow, America is now more than $40 trillion in debt. That is 40 followed by 12 zeros, a number so large that it looks like someone accidentally leaned on a calculator. But who exactly does America owe all this money to? Investors, banks, or China? And more importantly, can America ever pay it back? Let's start with the most basic question. What does national debt actually mean? Every year, the US government collects money through taxes. It then spends money on things like Social Security, healthcare, the military, education, infrastructure, and hundreds of other programs. When the government spends more money than it collects in a single year, the difference is called a budget deficit. And every year's deficit is added to existing national debt, which causing debt to grow. So, who owns all this debt? The short answer is a lot of different people and institutions of the US government. When the government spends more money than it collects, it borrows the extra amount by selling government bonds. An investor buys one of these bonds, which means they are lending money to the US government. In return, the government promises to repay that money later with interest. A large part of the debt is held by American investors, banks, retirement funds, investment funds, and the Federal Reserve. Another part is held by foreign investors and governments, including countries such as Japan, the United Kingdom, and China. So now we know how the borrowing works. But how did the debt reach $40 trillion? The first reason is tax cuts. Cutting taxes is popular for politicians because obviously people enjoy keeping more of their money. The problem begins when the government cuts its tax income but does not cut its spending by the same amount. It's like you quit your job but keep your Netflix subscription, gym membership. The second reason is wars and military spending. Wars are expensive, especially when they continue for years. The war in Afghanistan lasted nearly 20 years, while the main US war in Iraq lasted about 8 years. The third reason is financial crises and recessions. During a recession, people lose jobs, companies make less money, and the government collects less tax revenue. So once again, tax income falls in the recession times, just like between 2008 to 2010. Then came COVID-19. Lockdowns and business closures caused a sudden economic crisis. Millions of people lost work, many businesses struggled or collapsed, and tax revenue fell. In the 2020 fiscal year, federal spending rose to around $5.6 trillion, while government revenue was about $2.8 trillion. That left a deficit of roughly $2.8 trillion in just 1 year. Next, we have Social Security, Medicare, and an aging population. America is getting older. As more people retire, the government spends more on retirement benefits and healthcare. So the number of people receiving benefits rises, while the number of workers supporting the system does not grow as quickly. And finally, there is interest. Borrowing money is not free. When investors buy US government bonds, the government promises to repay them with interest. As the total debt grows, and especially when interest rates rise, the government must spend more money simply servicing its existing debt. In the 2025 fiscal year, interest on the federal debt reached approximately $1.2 trillion. So, can America simply print the money and pay the debt? Technically, the United States is unlikely to run out of dollars like you, but creating more dollars is not a free solution. Printing money does not automatically create more houses, food, or workers. If the amount of money rises much faster than the amount of goods, it means there will be inflation. However, America does not have to repay all $40 trillion at once. Each government bond has its own repayment date. When a bond reaches that date, the government must repay it. But instead of permanently eliminating that debt, the government often sells new bonds and uses the new borrowing to replace the old borrowing. The plan is not to pay debt at once, but to keep the debt manageable. So, is there an exact number where the debt suddenly becomes dangerous? Not really. The danger increases when debt grows faster than the economy and leaves less money available for healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Investors may also begin demanding higher interest rates to continue lending money, which makes new borrowing even more expensive. So the real question is not simply, can America pay back $40 trillion? The better question is, how long can the debt continue growing before interest payments begin limiting everything else the government wants? America is probably not going broke tomorrow, but every new trillion makes tomorrow's options a little more expensive. Subscribe for more videos like this and take care.